Hi folks, we're Tacitus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this audio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the globalist worldwide policy and policing approach. That's whether you go to Australia or Canada, the UK, the United States, or wherever. It's West France. It's pretty much the same. Where particularly if an Islamic mob riots and causes property damage and murders or beats people up, overturns cars and sets them alight, smashes shop windows, and pretty much takes over a part of the city. That the Western police, and this again is a universal approach, the Western police will very rarely, if ever, move in to make arrests, to quell the violence, to take strong policing action. After all, there's a gazillion laws on the books that these brown, black, again mostly Islamic, but not always, that these brown, black mobs they're breaking goodness knows how many laws. So there's no shortage of justification to go and arrest swathes of these people. Yet, in spite of that, the police take let's stand down, let's take a hands-off approach. It's no good, this riotous mob that's burning and looting and murdering and so on. No, we don't want to stop them doing that because it'll only upset them, and then they might do even more. There might be more rioting or additional rioting. So what we'll do is we'll just let them get on with it. Yeah, insurance can handle it. Hey, yeah, we'll let them get on with it. And we don't want to be racist after all. And this again is a policy that's being adopted. So there's no sort of idea that this is just an approach to policing that was the people of London, the authorities in London or Birmingham in England have decided to do. It's all over the Western world. And the only country now that's treating this a little bit differently is the United States, with the administration of President Trump, where they're not putting up with this rioting, but they've been slow to, in my view, they've been slow to move to quell it, and the measures they've taken thus far have been insufficient, I believe. But nonetheless, they're moving towards it, or it would seem so at the moment, where they will ultimately quell this riotous behaviour. Not that all the rioting in the United States, by the way, is brown and black people. It's not. There's a lot of white Antifa type people that are engaging in probably more anarchy than just straight out rioting. But I just wanted to talk about this generally. Why is this a view? Why import millions upon millions of people prone to riot and with very limited self-control, that are able to be put onto the street in vast numbers very quickly to angrily protest against a grievance that's either been invented or imagined or fantasized into existence? And why is it that now there are no-go zones across numerous Western cities where keeping not upsetting these people is the primary goal of the police and the authorities generally? So the police and the authorities accept that these people have a very short fuse, very limited self-control, and will be prone to violent rioting on the slightest provocation. This is so they can't be provoked because they'll be inclined to riot. Now, where in the world has that ever been an acceptable form of policing? No, there are laws. You won't riot. If you riot and burn cars and loot shops, and we will arrest you. You will be arrested and charged and dragged in front of a court and put into prison and so on. So that you don't riot. You're in a country now. We don't. Now, if you want to go to a country to riot, go the fuck back to Pakistan or somewhere if you want to do that. But or India or somewhere, some third world shithole where riots, mass riots are a daily occurrence. But you're not doing it here, and you need to understand that. And if you do get arrested for this rioting, then we'll deport you back to your country of origin. Suck on them apples. So, but that's not done. The authorities bend over backwards and sideways they'll somersault sort of and do anything they can. Oh, don't provoke these people. Oh, don't upset them. Don't upset them. They've got no self-control. They've got to. They'll believe any ridiculous lie about some grievances. So no, don't upset them. Don't go anywhere near them. And if you walk through or there's some sort of Arabic Islamic protest or riot, and somebody with an English flag, because they'll arrest the guy with the English flag. That's how insane the authorities have become. Don't upset these people. Don't provoke them. Don't provoke them, for goodness sakes. We don't want to have to deal with the fallout if they're provoked. So they can commit, many crimes, any crimes. The looting, the taking over street, doing mass supposed protests over what no one really knows, and they've got no permit. Now, if white people attempt to do a protest without a permit, policing, out come the batons, the shields, the truncheons, the pepper spray, the tear gas. Those white people have to be fucking put in their place. You know why they've been put in their place? Because they're fucking damn Nazis. They're all hit. But when the brown and black Islamic folks riot and causing vastly more damage, illegal and so on and so on. Oh no, don't upset them, for goodness sakes, don't upset them. So this is the different standards of policing, and it's all around the Western world, by the way. Now, when you've got people that are prone to thuggery and bullying, and anything sets them off, you've got to wonder why you want those people around you in the first place. Can you change their attitudes? What will change their attitude? Now, I can go back to my first experience ever with Arabic migrants in Australia. So I briefly went to a school where there are a lot of Arabic migrants, particularly from places like Lebanon and around there, and they tend to be sort of more the rural parts of Lebanon, but Lebanon nonetheless. Many of them were supposedly Christians. I'm not sure about that, given their behaviour. I'm dubious on that one, but there was they were the Arabic gangs, and the behaviour of the Arabic gangs and the people were this is the kids at school. Like, this is first year school. So it's the first time I'd ever seen kids walking around with flick knives. I'd never seen that. And so the 11-year-old kids, and quite a few of them walking around with flick knives. Plenty of 11-year-old kids walking around smoking cigarettes. And I'd never seen that sort of thing before. And other behaviours I've mentioned numerous times in other videos where, in the sports change room, some of the Arab kids would drop turds in the middle of the change room floor. Then they'd stand either side of the doorway as other kids would come in, and they'd grab white kids. They tended to not grab other Arabic kids. They'd grab the white kids and attempt to drag them and push them into the turds that they'd strategically laid out on the change room floor. And this was something that they delighted in. And they did all sorts of other things, like going into kids' school bags and hacking. And they all seem to have respiratory issues, these kids, but they're hacking, greenies into the sandwiches or the drink bottles or the, whatever, and then standing off to the side watching the kid then eat the sandwich that they'd hacked their body fluids into. And again, this to them was entertainment. Like, wow, this was top end of the end. This was better than watching a great movie or something, as far as they were concerned. And I'd never seen that sort of behaviour before. But they also were very quick to believe that they were being disrespected. And at the drop of a hat, they would assume they were being disrespected. Then a gang of them would converge on, it was always the other white kid, on the white kid to say, hey, you're disrespecting me. And then they'd sort of beat the guy up or whatever. But they were the thugs and the bullies. The hoods were not all the Arabs, by the way. There was if you took away the Irish and the Arabs, then the school would have been pretty tame. Actually, the Arabs were the apex sort of troublemakers, followed by the Irish. That was the sort of the split there. But there weren't that many Irish. So, This was now the police came around to the school every day. The teachers didn't put up with the Arabic troublemaking, so the Arabic kids were getting caned, and again the police were around every day. Arabic kids were being dragged off by the police, and again we're talking 11, 12, 13 years old. Some of the Arabic kids were so stupid in those days. You repeated the year if you didn't pass the test. So you had 14-year-old Arabic kids who were growing beards and goodness knows what, 15 years old, that were in first year high school still because they'd flunked every year. And, that was sort of, wow, is that even possible? But this was the Arabic. Now, the Arabic sort of attitude wasn't that they should modify the kids, wasn't that they should modify their behavior, or they should not do these things that they were getting caught for and dragged away by the police. In fact, it was treated that being dragged away by the police was some great badge of honor. When you're 11 years old, you think that? I mean, for goodness sakes. So they just thought they had to be better at not getting caught. That was their take on this. And the view that they would be punished for that sort of behavior, they considered that as an outrage. And so this has been around for a long time. So the why would you want people like that in your country, and why would you sort of want to tolerate that? But the severe punishments the Arab kids got for their gross misbehaviour didn't seem to really affect them. And this was something quite shocked me even as an 11-year-old, because if you're getting punished to that extent, wouldn't you just stop doing the things that were causing the punishment to come? But they didn't think that way. They thought, no, I can behave any way I want, and the people that are punishing me are the ones who are in the wrong. And they very much had that view, and which again I was very surprised by, because it seemed counterintuitive in the extreme. If you're getting punished for these things, stop doing them, then you won't get punished. They didn't see it that way, and they would continue to do the things they're getting punished for, but would take the attitude that if I'm just smarter at not getting caught, then that's the solution. So, but I should continue the bad behavior. So I don't know how possible it is to change the bad behavior of these people. Now, whether they're rioting in England or in Paris or in Australia or wherever in the Western world, the behavior is quite consistent. It doesn't appear to change, nor has it changed when I was a kid at first year high school. So this is a lesson to take away that I got at that age. Now, if you look at the idea of bullies and say bullies at school, sort of using that as like a baseline, there were kids that were prone to violent outbursts, and where they were prone to what did you say to me, that type of thing, you looking at me. And so you would realize which kids were prone to fly off the handle, because kids that were like that tended to be violent and quite irrational. You sort of didn't know what they would do. It was the unpredictability that was really the issue, I thought. But so you try and avoid them. And so if you see them sort of coming, no, I think I'll go this way instead of that way. And they would do things like lurk around the school canteen food shop thing, and they would lurk around there trying to steal other kids' lunch or ice creams or I don't know, cakes and cookies and things like that. So, but that's how it was, and you just try and avoid those people. But should they have been tolerated, the teachers sort of knew who the troublemakers were, and they were the ones. And again, they got most of the punishment. But the punishment, it didn't appear to change their behaviour. With the white kids, it did. The white kids did seem to respond to that sort of punishment, but not the Arabs, not the black kids, not the minorities, not the Pacific Islanders and those sort of kids. They seemed to be, again, they just couldn't seem to deal with the idea of being punished. So why would you have those people in your country? Why would you bring them in? And why would you create a special type of policing for people that are uncontrollable? you've either got to just stay consistent with a severe punishment and have some, knock-on punishments, collateral punishment. Okay, look, you've been arrested 3 times now for rioting. You're going back to fucking Pakistan, buddy, or back to the Pacific Islands, or wherever you, back to Lebanon, or wherever you came from. And that's probably the only way. And so I think, outside of that, I can't see a way of controlling this, is conceding the street to these people, conceding the district, and saying, no, you can break the law, it's all right. We're so worried about upsetting you that we won't police you. We'll just police those white people that are much better behaved. I mean, for goodness sakes, what insanity is this? You're being a Tacitus today, your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.